Warning, the following ongoing episode by episode the DCAU. Build off of pre.
Why couldn't you save her son?
Remember who you are and the legacy you carry inside you.
Where there's love, there's hope, Commissioner.
I never put on that costume again.
It would be a force that could truly work for the ideals of peace and justice.
7 of you overthrew the government and assassinated the president. We're the good guys.
I'm real.
I was the one who broke in and swiped the suit, remember?
That made me with you to oblivion, Superman.
You always take shots from folks who just don't get the joke.
Hello folks, the day has finally come. After almost 3 years in the making, many laughs, many tears, many sleepless nights, we've reached this point. This data organizer created by the Watchtower Database guys with JLU Season 3, the Beyond Seasons, and the Return of the Joker has been completed, and now I'm ready to face whatever's coming. The final episode of Justice League Unlimited Season 2, Epilogue. I'm not going to waste any time, so let's dive in. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone when I say that Batman Beyond Season 3's lost episode didn't set the world on fire. For many people, myself included, I'm not too broken up as I think Return of the Joker is a perfect way to end any binge of Batman Beyond. But let's turn the clock back to the mid-2000s. Justice League has been running since 2001 and every season vowed to go out on a grand note. In the year 2005, we were in the midst of the Cadmus arc, one of the absolute highs of the DCAU. The Cadmus arc was pulling continuity from all over the DCAU timeline to create a truly memorable experience. See these combat drones that attacked Supergirl, Green Arrow, and The Question in Unlimited Season 1? That's the prototype of Infiltration Unit Zeta. Dr. Milo has the splicing research from the Man-Bat days of BTAS, General Hardcastle is killed by Galatea, whose plans for creation go all the way back to STAS's final episode. You all know this, we've been through it all. But one of the main plans in the Cadmus arc was to actually provide that final episode for Batman Beyond that fans were hoping to get out of the Unmasked episode in Beyond Season 3. People were wondering why I didn't just talk about this episode in the Beyond Season 3 review, and the answer to that is simple. This isn't an episode of Batman Beyond Season 3, it's an episode of JLU Season 2. Which means we have to get our minds back into that quality standard, the one for Justice League Unlimited. With that said, let us start talking about Episode 13, Epilogue. The Cadmus arc started in Episode 3 of Season 2, titled The Doomsday Sanction. This episode opened as Bruce Wayne's Batman had busted into Amanda Waller's home, and this episode actually opens in the same way in Neo Gotham City, taking place 15 years after Beyond's premiere episode, Rebirth, placing this story in the year 2054.
Terry McGinnis. Or do you prefer being called Batman?
Sorry, I had to let the music play. I mean, it's the goddamn JLU intro. It's my third favorite DCU intro behind JL and Beyond. But yeah, Amanda Waller has been expecting Terry to show up, and here he is. After the intro, we get to this cinematic black and white scene at Wayne Manor, and since we don't know what's going on here, let's just see what happens.
How could you do it to me, Bruce?
The only thing that matters is the mission. You know that.
What about people, Bruce? Dick, Barbara, Tim, Selena, they all loved you, but eventually every single one of them left you. Ever wonder why?
Not for an instant. They quit because when it came down to it, they didn't have the heart for the mission. Are you about to quit too? It doesn't really surprise me.
It doesn't? You know how much I care about you.
Sure. Why else keep dating for 15 years?
You know why I can't marry you.
If the bad guys ever found out I was Batman, they'd try to get to me by hurting you. Blah, blah, blah.
It's nothing to joke about.
You're right. There could be supervillains hiding in the tall grass.
I'm poisoned, Dana. Cursed.
Yeah, Terry has broken up with Dana to avoid getting her hurt by his enemies, much like Spider-Man. As we get this interesting back and forth between Batman and Waller after he breaks the teacup.
Guess that's what all this this is about. Legacies.
Doubt you can find this pattern anymore. It's real China, not that synthetic stuff.
How can anyone be their own man living someone else's dream?
It's been years since I've had enough friends to use the whole set anyway.
I don't know why, I just like that part. It's funnily epic for a scene where two people are having two completely different conversations. But anyway, Terry, for some reason, now considers the mantle of Batman to be a bad thing. A curse, a poison. As we cut to the JLU team we saw in Beyond Season 3, an older Cairo.
I would offer my condolences, but that would be insincere.
Aquagirl, and Warhawk, battling the UNEDITED Collective, featuring this futuristic version of Superman's villain, the Parasite, and three of Terry's villains, Ink.
Ah, like water. Very good.
The Stalker, and Shriek. Now that Terry's 15 years into this Batman thing, we see just how much more powerful he is. Look at how easily Batman beats Shriek here. One of the most dangerous enemies in the show as the Beyond theme kicks in.
Good of you to drop in, considering that 3/4 of the UNEDITED Collective are from your rogues gallery.
Well, it's the last time. I'm not working with you guys anymore.
What?
What are you talking about?
You can't quit. The Justice League needs Batman.
Forget it. Batman is dead.
Terry is quitting being Batman as he tells Waller that Bruce had kidney failure a few months ago and needed someone to clone their kidneys, as I guess that's how you do surgeries in the post-Beyond world. And Terry stood up as it turned out that he was a perfect match. Perfect. The editing here is great.
You know the odds?
111 to 1.
Yeah.
So you ran a DNA test.
Once I worked up the nerve. I was 16 years old when you started training me, Bruce. A punk kid with a smart mouth and potential I didn't even suspect. I may have pretended otherwise, but I looked up to you. Worshipped you. My dad wasn't a superhero. He didn't save the world from the near apocalypse of '09. He never went toe-to-toe with Mr. Freeze, but he was a good man just the same. Tried to teach me right from wrong. Would have too if I'd ever listened to him. And he never laid a hand on me, although Lord knows I was asking for it.
What's your point?
My point is I never once doubted that he loved me with all his heart. My point is all those warm feelings I had for my dad, turns out they were just another lie. Another in the long list of things you've stolen from me. My point is I just found out that Warren McGinnis isn't my father. You are.
Oh my lord, this is the big plot twist of the DCAU, and despite coming from JLU's second season, it's divisive. In fact, a lot of people are not a fan of this. Bruce is the father of Terry McGinnis, but almost to a clone-like degree. Is Terry a clone of Bruce Wayne? Well, I will obviously give my opinion before this video is over, but I'm gonna wait for more facts to come in. Before we even talk about the plot, the script and acting in this episode are some of the best in the DCAU. Terry's actor once said how excited he was to do this episode when he got the script, and it really shows in the performance.
I want to know the whole truth.
Sounds like you already do.
Guess I didn't want to believe you were so incredibly arrogant that you thought the world couldn't go on without you.
It's not arrogance. It's fact.
You set the whole thing up.
How? You were already a teenager when I first met your mother.
I don't know. Maybe you dug up some of that old Cadmus nanotech. Used it to have my genes rewritten to match yours.
That technology's been illegal for over 40 years.
Didn't stop the Joker from using it on Tim Drake.
Damn, that's a low fucking blow. Terry just took a shot at the Return of the Joker flashback, insinuating that Bruce Wayne might have done something similar to what Joker did to Tim Drake, and that's pretty harsh. Which Terry immediately apologizes for. Very in character.
Alright, low blow.
As we get this pathetic sight.
The mantle of Batman is an honor, Terry.
You know what, old man? All those years, turns out everybody was right. You are insane. Being Batman's no honor. It's a curse. Bruce can't be trusted. I should have realized what he was capable of. Once he settles on a course of action, he won't stop at anything.
If you think that, you don't know him at all.
Waller is 100% right there. This is the exclamation mark upon what I've been saying about Bruce for years. He knows that there's no way he's responsible for this. Like he said, he never met the McGinnis family until Terry was 16. If Bruce planned on Terry being Batman, they would have done this in a much more effective fashion. I mean, he tried to stop Terry at being Batman at every step of the way, until the end of Rebirth. But Bruce always puts on this dickish personality, refusing to admit his faults, only saying what he believes needs to be said instead of having a real conversation. Which is why he's a lonely old man. Terry's right in saying that all these people, Catwoman, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Robin, all wanted good things for Bruce, but they all left him. But his only response to that isn't even a thought that he had anything to do with it. But as we all know, Bruce is so much more emotional than everyone else is aware of, through the numerous scenes we've seen where he's alone. This leads to the most iconic part of Epilogue, as Amanda Waller wishes to tell Terry a story to dispute the myth that Bruce is this heartless bastard. So, Batman, Shayera, Red Tornado, Dr. Light, and Stargirl were battling the second or third Royal Flush Gang,
Who can keep it all straight?
which again started as a Cadmus project that Joker hijacked and turned into the first Royal Flush Gang. The roster is all new, except Ace, who's the same Ace from Justice League Season 2. Her powers are growing out of control, and this will lead to her death, and if she isn't, for lack of a better phrase, put down, her powers will have deadly effects over the entire city, if not more. What a poor kid. I mean, she never had a chance. Remember back to her debut, her powers killed her parents, not because she tried to do that, but because she just has the power to slowly destroy you by looking at you.
Take her down before she takes everyone with her.
I'll do it, Shayera. I'm the only one of us Ace knows. She might let me get close enough to use it.
Do you understand what you're agreeing to? The only way to stop Ace for certain is to kill her.
Bruce is not this heartless jerk. He wants to be the one to bear the burden of seeing this girl in her final moments so Shayera and company don't have to do it. However, Batman is always one step ahead of everyone else, as we get this heartbreaking but heartwarming scene at the same time. That sounds like a paradox, but just watch.
Did you like playing with my new Royal Flush Gang?
Can't say that I did.
Yeah, they aren't any fun at all. I gave them their powers and they still hardly ever play with me.
Can't imagine why.
Ace will then clue us in on what it was really like in the day-to-day rigors of being a Cadmus test subject.
When I was little, Cadmus used to make me play all kinds of games, but they weren't any fun either. They'd strap me into their machines and poke wires into my brain. Ace, can you move this object with your mind? They got their weapon. I got cheated out of my childhood.
I know what that's like.
You do, don't you? You don't have to answer. I read your mind.
He does know what that's like, better than anyone else in the DCAU. Folks, this is the last time for a long time where I'll ever talk about this character, the Bruce Wayne of the DC animated universe. And while I probably don't need to say it, I will anyway. This is my absolute favorite incarnation of Batman. I've seen many in my life, but none capture the essence of the character as well as this one does. It's been a nearly 3-year journey discussing him and his adventures, but let's just think of how close we are to this character, and how much time we've spent with him. We saw him when he was a kid and what he was interested in before his parents were murdered, which had a direct impact on his becoming a costumed hero. In the tie-in comics, we saw how protective his parents were over him and vice versa, making their separation far more tragic as you just understand why it would destroy a kid like him. We saw him train to be an escape artist and to be a ninja when he was a teenager, return to Gotham at age 20, and with that we were shown his first night as a vigilante, understanding what he did right and wrong. Meeting Andrea Beaumont, who almost brought Bruce Wayne back from the depths of despair, but when crime ended that, he took on the mantle of Batman for good, battling the scum that ran the streets at night. Taking in troubled children who could have turned out like him, or far worse, turning them into better people for it. Battling psychotic super criminals after superpowered monsters. Seeing the effects this had on his empathy and his life. Meeting Superman, having this empathy restored through him, standing toe-to-toe with aliens, gods, and metahumans as an equal, battling the hordes of alien invaders, demons, zombies, and supervillains with nothing but his wits, body, and will. Putting his life on the line, almost sacrificing himself several times over so that nobody else has to bear the burden. Putting his body through absolute hell, never giving up until he physically cannot ensure the safety of himself and everyone else he fights for and tries to protect. Going into his old age and letting a kid like Terry become Batman and honor his legacy. Why? Because he is Batman. And Batman makes the choices that nobody else can make. The right one. Time and time and time again. A trait you cannot say about any other hero in the DCAU. Bruce is not perfect as he has personality flaws that hurt his life, but that's why I love this version of him so much. He's the greatest hero to ever live in the DC animated universe, and he's nothing but a guy in a bat costume and is still not perfect at the end of the day. You can have your favorite Batman incarnations, but for me, it will never be anything other than this guy.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman!
Culminating with Ace's death.
I'm dying very soon.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Could you stay with me? I'm scared.
He sat with her until her time came. That's the Bruce Wayne I came to know over the years.
You think he showed mercy? Maybe. But more likely he'd somehow already deduced that Ace wasn't really gonna hurt anyone.
He always was 2 steps ahead of everybody.
That's right. Even when it looks like it's your call, it isn't.
Are you hearing these lines? History is repeating itself. Terry sounds like Nightwing here, but he adamantly said in Return of the Joker that he's not a Robin, but he is certainly going down that path.
I never had a chance.
Honey, Bruce didn't overwrite your DNA with his. I did.
How? Why?
Now it's time for the bombs to start dropping, as Amanda Waller delivers what might be the most chilling line in the DCAU.
The thought of a world without Batman was unacceptable. So I decided to make a new one. I used my old Cadmus connections to gather the technology necessary for Project Batman Beyond.
Project Batman Beyond. A plan to keep Batman in the world forever with or without Bruce Wayne. First, they got Bruce Wayne's DNA, which really should be easy enough to find. I mean, every time he bleeds on the crime scene, you literally have proof of who he is. Then, they found a Neo-Gotham couple with psychological profiles similar to Thomas and Martha Wayne, those being Warren and Mary McGinnis, back before the divorce. This explains it all. Think about it. Terry's inexplicable instincts as Batman, his want to protect people weaker than him from back before he became Batman, Superman's odd line about Bruce Wayne and Terry McGinnis having things in common, but most importantly, both Terry and his younger brother Matt have dark black hair when both of his parents had orange hair. That's because Cadmus had called in Warren McGinnis for what he thought was some insignificant flu shot, but his reproductive material was overwritten by that of Bruce Wayne's. Overwritten, huh? Yes, guys, Terry is not a clone of Bruce Wayne. He is the son of Bruce Wayne. This is the most controversial plotline of the DCAU, as I was discussing earlier. And am I a fan? Yes, I am. Now, I don't think Terry's character gains from it or loses anything either way. It's Waller's character who gains the most from this plotline. Most people believe that this storyline of Bruce and Terry being related ruins the Beyond show's plot, which of course, first, if you think the episode just made Terry a clone of Bruce, you're wrong anyways, he's the son of Bruce. But personally, I think this excellently merges the themes of Batman Beyond and Justice League Unlimited. Family and succession is one of the main themes of the Beyond show, and destiny is a big thing on JLU. Terry is not a clone, he's another person entirely, and we all know that parents and children have many similarities but can completely walk different paths in life. With this plot twist embodying that theme, many people think the point this episode is making was that Terry was destined to be Batman. But no, Amanda Waller was trying to play God and create destiny. That was her plan all along. But think back to what JLU's final season solidified through the Hawkman plot, that in the world of the DCAU, there is no such thing as destiny. Terry was not destined to be Batman because that doesn't exist. Amanda Waller failed to do it here.
When you're making a Batman, genetics is only part of the story. Stop me if you've heard it before. You're 8 years old. Your parents have just taken you to a rousing adventure film. A grand time is had by all. But unknown to you, a mysterious figure hides in the shadows.
Oh my god, it's the Phantasm! This is a great continuity nod, as you'd really need to be in the know to get this one. In the tie-in comics, it's established in the shadow of the Phantasm, the Batman and Robin Adventures issue that followed up on the Phantasm movie, first showing us how Joker survived the encounter with Andrea, and after those events, Andrea continued to use her Phantasm persona to become a bounty hunter for hire, coming into contact with Batman again in that issue. And much later on in the Batman Adventures Volume 2 books, the comic series that ran alongside the Justice League Adventures, the JL comic, which showed us what Batman had done when he wasn't with the League. Batman Adventures Volume 2 is a great series, and in one issue, Batgirl found herself in a battle with the Phantasm assassin. Even the comics are getting acknowledged in this episode, as Waller wanted to have Andrea kill Warren and Mary McGinnis and turn Terry into Batman. If they had succeeded, Amanda Waller would have gotten away with playing God and pulling the strings of destiny, but no.
One problem. My assassin wouldn't pull the trigger. I argued with her, but deep down I knew she was right. People say Batman's obsessive, that he'd do anything to achieve his goals, but he'd never resort to murder. So if I was to honor all he stood for, neither could I.
And yet my dad wound up murdered anyway.
That's the secret. We all have free will.
It was fate.
know the Lord's been a great comfort to me all these years. Try not to look so surprised. Yeah, I've got a lot to answer for when I meet him, but I'd like to believe that for all the harm I've caused, I've also done some good. Like the good book says, he moves in mysterious ways. His plan is a mystery, but here's what isn't. He gave us free will. We choose our own fate, for good or ill.
That's why Terry became a good person and his friend Charlie didn't. Terry never had to do any of this. He stumbled into being Batman not because of his DNA, that's irrelevant. Terry saw that Derek Powers was up to no good. He knew that the police wouldn't do anything about it because he had them all bought. Bruce had quit being Batman, and that's why he stole the Bat costume. He still stumbled into the role because of his dad's murder, because of his own heroic personality that was buried in him. His parents raised that into him. It's just like Superman. Yes, Jor-El and Lara had guaranteed Kal-El would get superpowers, but that would not guarantee him using them for good. It was his being raised by the Kents that did that. Terry is not a significant person because he has Bruce Wayne DNA. It was because of the person he chose to be. If Terry was an asshole, it wouldn't matter that Bruce was his biological father. He would never have met Bruce and would not have gone after Powers. Free will at work.
I've known Bruce Wayne for over 50 years, and I've been keeping an eye on you your whole life. You're not Bruce's clone. You're his son. And for all that fierce exterior, I've never met anyone who cared as deeply about his fellow man as Bruce Wayne. Except maybe you.
So then, if it's not important, then why do I like it? Like I said, it does a lot for the character of Amanda Waller. She wanted to create another Batman in those years where his skills were declining, but Andrea not killing Terry's parents is what taught Waller the most fundamental aspect of Batman, that he does not kill. And she realized that she could not play God, giving her the perspective on it that she has now, and the ability to give Terry the wisdom he needs.
You want to have a little better life than the old man's? Take care of the people who love you. Or don't. It's your choice.
Think about it. Terry called Bruce out for letting his connections with his sidekicks fall by the wayside, but he just broke up with Dana over being Batman, thinking the same thing as Nightwing. He's letting history repeat itself, but Waller tells Terry the wisest thing in the whole episode. He's still young and it can turn around before it's too late, leading to the final scene at Wayne Manor as Terry is planning on proposing to Dana.
Where the devil have you been?
I had some stuff to take care of.
Enigma's overrated, especially at 3 a.m.
Enigma's overrated, especially at 3 a.m. Sorry, I had to do it one last time.
If Batman's not around,
I've got it covered. Always.
But yeah, Superman is called and wants Terry to meet him at the Metro Tower for help on a case he's working on. As we get this line. Terry has accepted so much in this episode thanks to Waller and has now accepted the truth through this line.
You should eat something first. Keep up your strength.
When I get back.
You're a stubborn piece of work, you know that.
Just like my old man.
And now, to close the DC animated universe, we get a recreation of the scene that started it all back in Batman Volume 1's On Leather Wings.
You see that? Oh, there it is.
To the tune of the Adventures of Batman and Robin theme, remixed in the Beyond style, once more.
Did you see that?
Is there something you'd like me to say about Epilogue now? I mean, there really is no conclusion that could possibly say what hasn't been said. Epilogue is one of the best episodes of all time. Personally, I prefer Starcrossed over this, but I do think it's one of the best, with a deep and meaningful story containing moments and imagery that will never be forgotten. Continuity that runs deep throughout the whole timeline and the works. A perfect end for Justice League Unlimited Season 2 and the Cadmus arc when Divided We Fall already kind of did that. I don't have some kind of grand conclusion statement to give here. I've spent the last 3 years telling you why I love the DCAU scene by scene by scene by scene. This retrospective would probably take over 24 hours to watch from start to finish. What more needs to be said? One day I'll return to cover what I missed, but for now it's all been said and done. I never thought I'd see the day, but it's here where the over 20 videos I set out to make are done. It's like looking back to when I created the all-inclusive X retrospective playlist, saying that I do command mission in the extreme games. Yeah, that day will never come, but it came and went. In May of 2017, I had a file in my Jay's Reviews folder called Part 1, Batman the Animated Series Volume 1 Review. I was 16 then. I'm 19 now, and by the time you're watching this, the DCU folder has a new addition, Part 21, Epilogue Review. It's been a long and tough ride, but I'm finished. Now then, I see why James wanted this episode to be some kind of secret. I mean, imagine if I reviewed this episode in Unlimited Season 2, I'd have to be like, and since we didn't cover it yet, Dana is, Shriek can, Ink does, Terry's background goes like, blah 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 blah. Instead, we got right to the point. Now, let's see what this reward he was talking about is.
Aren't you just the cutest little baby ever? I just love you so much. You're so...
Whoa! Sorry, I didn't expect you to get through all those, and so quickly.
Look, I did what you wanted. I did the last season of JLU, I did the Beyond show. Epilogue's done. Hand over the DCAU reward you promised.
Your eternal reward?
What?
Oh, nothing.
Something going on over there?
It's the computer system Maddie set up. He didn't program in a victory screen. Everything's going haywire. Stupid video game bullshit.
Why am I even surprised? Okay, look, can we just cut the BS? Can you just give me the DCAU database now?
It's not that simple. Maddie must have sabotaged this on purpose. The program can't process the next step and unlock the database. Ah, screw this.
What am I even doing anymore? Spending hours of my life watching superhero cartoons. For what? WB copyright claims. Now James, the Watchtower Database guys, make my life miserable. He pouring so much energy into these DCU videos, and all I get for it is jack shit.
You may have beaten my little game, Jay, but you are truly a fool if you think this is the end. You've managed to make it through the entire DCAU. Well, except for Static Shock, the Zeta Project, Gotham Girls, Batman and Harley Quinn, Justice League versus the Fatal Five.
Okay, I get it. How many times do I have to keep saying I'll do it eventually?
Despite your many attempts to mislead the DCAU fanbase, I do respect your determination. The reward is still on the table, but first, you must face me in a DCAU timeline debate. The ultimate final battle of wits to crown the true DC Animated Universe YouTube champion. You ready, kiddo? I hope you appreciate, Jay, that everything that happens from this point is on your head. The skies will rain fire. The oceans will boil. The streets will run red with the blood of billions. Only then, after your last pitiful hope is extinguished, will I end your life. Let's go.
Excuse me?
Oh, hey dude, time for the timeline debate.